The difference that's most recognized or seen between Old Hickory sheds and other buildings, starting from the ground up, with our floor system, we use 4x6 pressure-treated skids that here locally, most places use the 4x4 skids, and those 4x4s don't have any rigidity in them. They're just so flexible. They flex really easy, and because of that, you would have to have a concrete pad for that shed to sit on, because the floor itself cannot support the building, let alone what you would use it for without having that concrete pad. Using that 4x6 skid is more rigid, and so it doesn't require the concrete pads to sit on. That a 2-inch gravel base is what we recommend, so you don't have to go to that expense of the concrete or the hassle of getting things lined up to get it that way. Rather than just putting the floor joist on top of the skid, we notch into the skid to put the floor joist in that notch so that it locks that floor joist in place so it doesn't twist and turn. Because of it being interconnected, when we put the 5/8 ton and groove plywood on top, those three components makes for a stronger, more stable floor. It's going to be able to support the building the way that it needs to be supported, and it will also support what you store inside of the building. That's one difference. Another difference is, and that's kind of hard to see, but the nails that we use to put the siding on, or that we use for the truss walls, or any of the nails that we use in putting the building together, they are ring shanked, similar to a drill bit, where unlike a regular straight nail, over time it will work itself out of the wood, and when it does that, the building's not being held together the way that it's supposed to, and depending on how severe that is, your building could initially fail, where it starts to come apart and you have problems, those Band-Aid issues, things that I referred to earlier. So with the ring shank nails, they stay locked in place so that they hold the building the way that it should be, holding it together so that it doesn't come apart. We also use quality wood products, and use the wood products where they're designed to be used. We don't use the roof sheeting for the flooring or particle board for the flooring. We use 5/8 ton and groove plywood. In your homes, they put 3/4 inch ton and groove plywood. We do have 3/4 inch as an upgrade, but the buildings come standard with the 5/8 ton and groove plywood. We use a full-size 2x4 in our wall construction, and when we go to the 12-foot wide and wider buildings for in the lofted barns, we use 2x6s for the loft joists instead of 2x4s. In addition to the floor system, the buildings initially sit up off the ground a little bit to where there's a 4-inch gap from the ground to the bottom of the shed. A lot of people worry about critters getting under there, and initially they can, but I think I may have had 1 or 2 people over the 10 years call and say that they had a concern over that. I really don't get phone calls over that where it's really not an issue, especially if you're using gravel as the base for the shed. The animals can't burrow in that. They obviously can't with concrete either, but that 4-inch gap is designed on purpose. It's so that when moisture comes up from the ground, and this can even happen on your concrete pad as well, because concrete pad is not 100% level. There's always some dips in it, so when it rains, it pools that water, even though it may be a small pool. But when that evaporates, having that 4-inch gap allows airflow underneath the building, so it dissipates that moisture so your floor doesn't rot out. That if you were to fully enclose that so that air movement could not take place underneath the building, down the road you could have problems with your floor rotting out. So those are differences that you're going to see if you look at other buildings, that the majority of the time people that come in having looked at other buildings, one of the very first comments that I hear them make when they walk into an Old Hickory shed is, wow, this is built so much better. I can tell this is this is a lot more sturdy building than some of the others that I've looked at. And a lot of those people don't even have a construction background that they can visually see that difference. In comparing buildings, those are some of the differences that you're going to see. in looking at prices is there is some manufacturers that they don't the price that they advertise for their shed is not for a full functioning shed. Have a full functioning shed, you have to pay extra to have the floor finished, and you have to pay extra to have the roof finished. With Old Hickory sheds, the advertised price includes or is for a full functioning shed. That when buying a shed from Old Hickory, there isn't anything extra that you have to do to it to finish it off for it to work and function as a shed. In most cases, the other sheds that people look at end up being the same price or more than Old Hickory sheds by the time you get that full price to have the shed completed. So again, that's why I feel that the Old Hickory sheds, for the quality of products that they use, the quality that goes into how they put the buildings together, and their price points, you're getting a good price or good value for the money that you're paying for the shed.